I want to let's start over. Hello, welcome. This is David Barron. This is part of the Advanced Hypnosis Skills Facebook group, and it's also a part of the University of Hypnotism YouTube channel. So every Friday, what happens, and sometimes sooner, more often, I answer some questions about hypnosis, and with nearly 20 years of skills in hypnosis, I've learned a great deal, and I like to share what I have learned. So what I did is I posted on the Facebook group what kind of questions you might be interested in answering. And one of them was to simply go over in bullet point form the parts of my Hypnotic PreTalk. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Hypnotic PreTalk is, that is really what you say as you're preparing someone to go into hypnosis. I've seen a lot of hypnotists, and they all seem to do the very same Hypnotic PreTalk. It's usually about 15 to 20 minutes long. It talks about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, what it does, what it can't do. And the purpose of the pre-talk is to prepare the person to be hypnotized. Personally, I don't find that older version of the pre-talk is particularly necessary, at least in the context of what I do. Now, to understand the context of what I do, people come to me because they want to make a change, and specifically, they want to change something they can't change on their own. And typically what that means is they've done everything else. They've tried willpower. They might have gone to a doctor. And they simply, at this point, they cannot find which doctor in the yellow pages. So they call a hypnotist. And they know they're going to have to pay the hypnotist to help them. So what happens is they are ready to be hypnotized. My mentor, Jeffrey Stevens, his pre-talk was incredibly short. He basically said, the whole of my pre-talk is this: what do you want? Once they explained what they wanted, he would hypnotize them. And that's about it, simply because in the context of the hypnosis, they were ready to make changes. So they were ready to follow instructions. Now, I have done that. It works very well. It also works when I do the other type of long, sort of traditional pre-talk. What I've done, however, is I've modified my pre-talk as things go along, and I want to go over the points that I make and justify them, explain them to you as to why I do that. One of the very first things that happens when someone comes in is I do ask them, what do you want? How can I help you? And I also ask this question, how do you want to be different? At that particular point, we begin a discussion on not just what they want to get rid of, but also what they want to have instead. And surprisingly, you might find that is an incredibly long discussion, because say, for example, if they come in with anxiety, all they want is to not have anxiety. They haven't considered sometimes the options of what they could be having. So I have to go through a discussion. Usually I'll explain it in terms of, if I can reach inside your head, pull out everything that has to do with this problem, everything that has to do with this anxiety, I have an opportunity to put something else in. So tell me, what would you rather be feeling than anxiety? And at that particular point, then they start to think about, okay, what could I be feeling? And they'll talk about maybe confidence, satisfaction, peace of mind, things like that. So I'm trying to elicit two different things from them. One of them is called the problem state, which in this example, anxiety. And the other is called the state, which is, in this case, confidence. So once I have that, I have most of what I need. Everything else from that point forward is about preparing them. So I will describe the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind. I don't go into a long detail about what one does over the other. I'll explain it in very simple terms. I'll say, on the one hand, you have your conscious mind. It wants to make a change. You want to have something different. But on the other hand, you have your subconscious mind over here, and it is doing something entirely different. It is not broken. In fact, it's doing its job. Its job is to keep you smoking or to bring up this anxiety for whatever reason. We don't know why. And it's simply outdated. It's running on a program, and it needs to be updated. That's what the hypnosis is for. So I've done, the reason that I describe those two parts is because there needs to be a deeper understanding. The conscious and the subconscious mind is that they are two different things. Because at some point during the hypnosis, I will address the subconscious mind. Once we've done that, I will do something that is referred to as priming. Now, often what that will be doing is simply talking about comfort, talking about feeling at ease, about following along, about the value of being able to just let things happen, or the value of focusing. All of those things simply bring into someone's awareness, focus, letting things happen, so that their mind becomes more aware of it. As I'm talking with them, if I sense that they have a strong value toward something, for example, if they value someone with a strong work ethic, I will do what's called a positive association or a negative disassociation. Association is, I will say, people who do have a really strong work ethic, they have the strength to really focus. And you know what that's like, because when you're working really hard, you're really focused. Well, that's all you need to do. And the negative disassociation is you find what they don't like lazy people, and you say, the thing that makes people lazy and really don't have a work ethic is they can't focus, or they don't. And what you're doing is you're bringing those values of work ethic and associating it with being able to focus. So let me give a shout out to Chase Hughes, who introduced me to this, and it is incredibly valuable. He wrote a book, I think he called, or not a book, but a paper called The Hypersuggestibility. How to create hypersuggestibility, and this is one of the processes. The other thing that I will do is I will ask what they think it's like to be hypnotized. Now, typically they've never done hypnosis before. So what I'll tell them is, I realize you're probably just going to guess, but I really want you to think about it and tell me, what do you think it's going to feel like to be hypnotized? And then I shut up. They'll often say, I don't know. But what I'll tell them is, I know you don't know, but go ahead and guess. What do you think it's going to feel like to be hypnotized? And the reason that I do that is they start to create in their own mind a feeling of what it would be like to be hypnotized. Their mind starts to build anticipation. It starts to be prepared to be hypnotized. Generally, I will agree with what they say. The only times I don't agree with them, or I correct them rather, is if they say, you're going to put me out, I'll have no memory, like giving me a drug. And I'll say, you'll probably have some memory. In fact, most people do. But generally I will agree with what they say, and I'll add to that. I'll augment it. So tell them is, you're absolutely right. Now, one of the things that I consider hypnosis to be is a really intensely pleasant sense of focus. In fact, you probably remember times when you were focusing in and you were so focused, everything else just fell away. Well, that's what I try to create. In fact, I try to make it so intense and so powerful and so enjoyable that when we're done, most people, not everybody, but most people usually respond by waking up, opening their eyes and going, wow, what was that? And honestly, that does happen a great deal. So now I've built up anticipation. I've made it, I've sort of fit their model of hypnosis, but build it up with an incredible sense of excitement and anticipation. I then give them an instruction. I let them know that they do have a very important but a very responsibility to make this process happen and to make it that enjoyable. The only responsibility, I tell them, that you have in this process is to follow my instructions. That's it. Follow my instructions. I tell you to do something, just do it. Don't think, don't analyze, don't even wonder if you're doing it right. Just as I give you an instruction, do it. Now notice I don't say suggestion. I never say suggestion. Suggestion implies they don't have to do it. The idea of an instruction implies if they follow it, they get a result. So I always describe it in terms of instruction. I'll then give them a little idea of, I like to say, hypnotists like to say the word deeper a lot. I like to say it too. Let me give you an idea of what it means. When I say deeper, it simply means to focus more enjoyably. Think about it. The more focused you are, the better you feel. And so the better you feel, the more you can focus. So that's really what deeper means, is just to focus more enjoyably. That prepares them, and I also tell them that in hypnosis as the hypnosis continues. So I tell them that, and now they're prepared to understand what going deeper means. There is something that I also do just prior to doing the hypnosis, and that is a process called entrainment. It is not new. The wonderful people at the Church of Scientology have a process called they call a training routine. Entrainment is simply giving instructions and having them follow it. And these are arbitrary instructions like raise your right hand, move your index finger, wiggle your toes, and making sure they follow it. I set it up like this. I say, all you have to do is follow my instructions. Now, I want you to get really comfortable following my instructions. So I go through this process of just telling you something. Like, for example, I'll say, raise right hand. And I'll look at their right hand until they raise it. And once they raise it, I say, oh, perfect, you know how to do this. And so I go through a couple of these steps. Raise your right hand. Great. Lower it. Raise your left hand. Lower it. Look to the left. Good. Look to the right. Good. Look forward. So as we do that, they get more and more familiar. And then I'll say, okay, just follow along here. I will do the entrainment anywhere from about a minute. Sometimes it'll take 2 or 3 minutes. I do know some people who do the first hour doing nothing but entrainment, which is amazing. I personally don't find it's necessary, but there are people who do levels of entrainment. For me, I just want to get them comfortable following my instructions. Usually they're at the in the middle of the entrainment, I will go right into the induction. It's usually a rapid induction, a variation of the Elman induction. So those are the general points of how I get someone to go into hypnosis. So I'll go over it again. I'll go over it one more time. And I've listed 7 points. The first one is I ask them how I can help and how they want to be different. So I get the problem state and then the resource state. I'll then describe in very brief terms the conscious and the subconscious mind. I'll ask them what it's like to be hypnotized. And then I'll correct them and build enthusiasm and anticipation for that. And I'll describe the word deeper as to mean focus more enjoyably and build anticipation to going deeper too. I'll also tell them that how simple it is, which is to simply follow my instructions. In fact, I just say it in the most matter-of-fact, simple terms. All you have to do, follow my instructions. That's it. And then I do the entrainment. Now, typically what I do, and I'll make this available to you if you like, is I actually have written up a page that has most of this on there. It is a little advanced. It is specific to the process I use. You have a box up here that describes the problem state and then the resource state. You describe the preparation or the pre-talk process, and then the various things that I do after or in the hypnosis and then even after the hypnosis. When I do this in this particular process, I usually get them saying, wow, which is amazing. That validates their experience. So those are my points, my bullet points on doing a hypnotic pre-talk. If you have any questions on this, please, by all means, post them here to the Advanced Hypnosis Skills Facebook group. You can also email me, or you can go to the YouTube channel, which is the University of Hypnotism. So we will do this again, certainly next Friday, and if something comes up or you have a question, I could do it sooner. I want to thank you very much. I see a couple people have asked when I will be doing a training. My next training is going to be in January. And if you're at all interested, again, contact me. I'll be happy to tell you about it. And you can also go to thehypnosisseminar.com to find out more information. So thank you very much. I appreciate you listening. And if you have questions, please contact me when you can. Thank you much.